I would like to introduce my co-host here, Amelie. She's from Beautifi. She is their business development director, and she has joined us tonight to talk on the Beautifi side of things. Unfortunately, the founder of Fertility Friends Foundation was unable to join us tonight, so I am going to go through her section. She sent us some slides because there is a very important deadline coming up, which I will note. And my name is Tavia McLaughlin, and I work at TRIO. I am the head of our partnerships and also the head of our integrated marketing. So work on the patient side and then also work with our partners like Beautifi, Fertility Friends Foundation, some of your insurance companies and things like that. So let's jump into Isabella's portion of the presentation tonight. So, for those of you not familiar with Fertility Friends Foundation, it is a Canadian registered charity and they support individuals giving grants to patients that are looking for help with their fertility treatments. So, their grants offer up to $5,000 per recipient each time that one of their grants open, and it covers anything related to do with fertility treatments. So they have a spring intake, which is in April, and a fall intake, which is in October. You can read a little bit more about their program on the screen here. And what I really would like to draw your attention to is that their spring grant applications are open right now. It's something that they are really promoting now. And I really would encourage anyone who's never used one of their grants to apply. The deadline is tomorrow at 12, so at noon. And you can find the information on their website. I believe that in the next slide that Isabella has left a QR code. So this is a little bit more about the program, and TRIO is a proud supporter of the program. So we not only support them with money and reducing cycle fees, but then once someone is going through, one of our patients has access to one of these grants and is going through an IVF cycle, there are certain fees that we've worked out a partnership with Fertility Friends that kind of are waived or worked into the costs that then you don't also have to use your $5,000 towards. So it's a little bit of a reduced fee that we have kind of a combined impact for to get the most out of your grant money. So yeah, the QR code is for then another event. Isabel didn't leave a QR code, but the Fertility Friends Foundation can be found on Instagram and also can be found online at Fertility Friends Foundation. They also have another event coming up in April. I don't know if anyone on this call has been to it before, but it is a great time. It's a dance party. As the promotion says, it's one night to leave it all on the dance floor in support of Fertility Friends and their foundational grants. So, a lot of people who are in the industry that support the industry, doctors in the industry, nurses in the industry, as well as patients, sometimes former patients, attend the event, and it is a really fun time. So, if you want to get your dancing shoes on, I highly recommend the event, and you can use this QR code to find the tickets. So I will throw it now over to Amelie, and she will take you through the Beautify side of things.
Awesome. Thanks, Tavia. So just gonna go over quickly the program details so that you understand kind of what this option is about, and it is available to you, especially with TRIO. I'll just start with that because that's one of the most important things and one of the things that patients ask about more often. Promotional interest rates. So we have 0% offers on 6 and 12-month terms in partnership with TRIO. So this is a very convenient, flexible way of making this process more accessible and affordable. We do offer loans from 1,000 to upwards of 50,000, depending on your needs. We also offer flexible term options. So even if we have, reduced rate promotional rates on 6 and 12-month terms, we also have the ability to, make the payments more flexible and go up to 6 years for payment plans. We provide instant approval decisions. So what does that mean is it doesn't have any impact on your credit score. It doesn't show up on your credit profile to just, I'm going to just say it here, so to scan the QR code and start your application, and just see what Beautifi would have to offer. So if you're sort of like in a discovery phase, exploration phase, you're um, like wondering if this is a good option for you or not. You're, again, like just evaluating all your options, and you just want to know if Beautifi would be a good option for you. There's no risk, no commitment to just apply and see what we have to offer, and see what you would be approved for as well. So if you want to scan this QR code, this is specific to TRIO as well. Perfect. We can go. The QR code is also on the bottom left of this page. So the application process is sometimes like some things that people are also wondering, like how does it work? How do I apply? So there's just a quick video loop rolling on the screen right now that shows you a quick glance at the interface and what the application process with Beautifi looks like. So it's very swift, very user-friendly. And again, at any point, if you're not sure, or you want to speak to someone rather than continuing the process online, you can just drop off from the application and someone on our team will give you a call. Now we're a little bit after business hours, but first thing in the morning, usually during business hours, you get a call within 15 minutes. So we have a team of representatives available to answer your questions, help you through the application process. And these agents are really great. We often have good feedback on, the customer service quality and their friendly approach. So, you can feel also confident going to our team with your questions. If you're not quite ready to scan the QR code and even just start an application, you can also find more information on TRIO's website, on their financing page. And on Beautifi's website, there is also our 1-800 phone number. So if you're someone who prefers to just, talk to someone, a human being, and skip the virtual process, you can also do that, and our team will be happy to help you. So I'm just going to go over quickly some frequently asked questions that we receive from patients. So first is, will applying with Beautifi impact my credit score? The answer is no. I've covered it just previously here. We do what we call a soft credit check to be able to give people a pre-approved amount. So something that just based on the information that you provide to us, we give you what we think you would be approved for, and that doesn't show on your credit. What is the typical interest rate on Beautifi loans? So it starts as low as 0% on selected terms, and we do have flexible plans from 6 months to 6 years terms. Again, there's no risk to apply, so just applying will help you explore that option and see what's available to you. How long does the application process take? So that video loop that was showing a little bit earlier, so the filling out the questions and completing the application will usually take less. We see here 3 minutes, maybe 3 to 5 minutes if we're being realistic. And then once you get in touch with one of our representatives, we're able to complete the whole process within a few hours. So it's very quick, very easy process. And just before I read that one, I just want to kind of close the loop on the previous one. So after that, what happens is Beautifi will send the funds to TRIO. So then you don't have to interfere in the process. There's no further steps required on your end. As Beautifi is partnered with TRIO, once we complete the loan agreement together, we take care of sending the funds to TRIO ahead of your treatment. Can I pay off my loan early? So the answer is yes. We have what we call an open loan. So our loan structure is very flexible. It allows you to call us anytime and pay either part of the balance or the full balance remaining on your loan. And that will be great because you don't accrue interest on that balance. And there's no cancellation or prepayment fees as well. Thank you. So I just added the link to TRIO's financing page here. Um, and I'll take on as well any additional questions later on.
Okay, thank you. And now just to spend a few minutes going through some income tax information. As many of you know, this is the first year, or sorry, 2025 was the first year for the Ontario Fertility Treatment Tax Credit. And so that is new, and it's in addition to the federal tax credit, which has been around for quite some time and is known as the METC. And it's not just for fertility treatments, it's for any medical expense that you incur in a tax year. So, just a little comparison of the two and how they're different, but they are both able to be applied against your taxes in 2025 together. So you don't have to choose one over the other. But in general, you get about 15 to 20% back on the METC credit. It's more dependent on your income and on some of your expenses, whereas the Ontario Fertility Treatment Tax Credit is a straight 25% on your expenses. There's a $5,000 a year fixed cap on the Ontario plan. There's no fixed cap on the federal plan. And then the one big difference that we'll get into in a few slides is the on the medical tax credit on the federal side, it's taken as a tax reduction. And while that is true to a certain extent on the Ontario side, if you are in a year where you actually owe no taxes, you're then given a refund. So it is given as a refund, whereas in the or on the federal side, it's given as it's written off against your income, which means you don't get it as a credit. This is just a quick look at the calculations of it. And again, we always say, especially if you're going through IVF and have, the medication side of things, as well as payments related to your IVF or IUI or any sort of fertility treatment, to always save your receipts. And it is often best to consult with an accountant. This is taken directly from our website. As Amelie said, we have quite a detailed website on many different things with respect to fees, financing, taxes. So it's on the TRIO website where you can look into this, but this just gives a little bit of a breakdown in what I was just talking about. So the Ontario Provincial Tax Credit is a little bit more straightforward when you're applying for it. There are a few more calculations and formulas, but it's all quite spelled out on your income tax forms as you're filling them out. So I've gone through this, but just in case I missed anything, I'll throw this up here. Like I said, there's a max refund of $5,000. This will be the first year that people can apply this tax credit. So we're interested to see, one, what the uptake is. Hopefully there's great uptake. And two, hopefully there's not much pushback. Hopefully not a lot of people are getting audited for receipts, but we do always say save your receipts. We often find patients when they apply for the federal one, they do get audited because it isn't common for such large amounts if someone's paying for one or two private cycles and medication, or if they've gone through a funded cycle and a private cycle and in 1 year and are applying all of that, then often the government comes back and asks for receipts. So save your receipts in case you're audited. Again, TRIO can provide you with all your receipts, even if you get medication at our pharmacy can provide you with receipts if you are missing some. But it'll be interesting this year to find out if there's a lot of auditing or how it works on the Ontario side as well. And this is just a breakdown. Again, there's a threshold. They either look at 26% or $2,600 annually or the lesser of 3% of your next income. So you have to meet a threshold before you apply for this on your federal income tax. I Do want to say though, if you are saving your receipts for fertility treatments, it's all healthcare expenditures that you pay out of pocket. So often through a year when you don't have a lot of large expenses, there might be some small medical expenses that you don't save the receipts for, you don't claim just because you're not going to meet that threshold, but it really does allow you for all of your medical expenses in the year because you're going to be meeting the threshold for the claim. So I believe that is the end of kind of the formal presentation here. I wanted to open it up to questions. Um, I actually can't see right now where the questions are. There we are. It's because there aren't any questions. Okay. So I would like to encourage you to write questions in the chat box. I did have someone reach out earlier and ask a few questions. I'm just going to look and see if we have covered. There was one question. Someone was asking if insurance partially covers your expenses, can you still claim them on your taxes? So I'm assuming they're meaning the full amount. So the way it works with the medical tax credit as well as the Ontario tax credit, it's anything that you're paying out of pocket. So let's say you're covered for $10,000 for fertility treatments through your benefits and you pay $13,000, then you would be able to apply that $3,000 towards your tax for your tax form. You wouldn't be able to apply the full 13. And then there was another question on insurance. Do I need to know what is covered by my insurance company prior to starting treatment? Um, so we have a financial counselor, so I would always suggest you schedule a meeting with her. You can book right in her schedule and have a meeting with her. You can email her. I'll make sure that information is in the email we send out after. But uh, estimates are really recommended just so that you have it in writing, whether it be on the drug side, exactly the drugs that they're going to cover, or on the fertility side, exactly what your either per treatment is and or your lifetime max might be. We really recommend that all patients get that in writing. Our financial counselor can kind of walk you through that. Unfortunately, she's no longer able to reach out to the insurance companies. Insurance companies are now only dealing with their actual insureds to get back to them on that information. They used to kind of provide us with that information on your behalf, but now you kind of have to do that on your own. I think those were the only two questions that I can see here. Let me see what I have in the okay, so there's a Beautifi loan question here. So for the Beautifi loan application, can it be under two names or does it have to be just one person as the applicant?
That's a good question. So we can definitely add cosigner to the application. So if you wish to apply and have, a partner, friend, or family sort of support your application, we can add someone as a cosigner to the loan. So the way to go about that would be to just start the application process with your own name and information. And then afterwards, before the confirmation of the loan details and signature of the loan agreement, you would indicate to the Beautifi agent that you wish to add someone to the application, and then we can proceed like that.
Great, thank you. The next question I will answer on behalf of Isabel. I saw on the Fertility Friends Foundation website that the grant application will be open from April 1st to 30th, but I mentioned it closed tomorrow. Can I confirm the dates? So I misspoke on that. I took that it was closing tomorrow. It is actually opening tomorrow. So the grant applications, I just double checked. The grant applications open tomorrow at noon, and they will run all the way until April 30th, which makes more sense with the dancing night to raise money for it. So thank you for checking into that. And then there was another question about the grant in terms of can you use the grant to apply for a funded cycle? So unfortunately, the grant only covers private a private treatment cycle, it is something, regardless of the clinic, it is something that is the paying for the actual IVF. So if you have the IVF already covered by the Ontario government, then the grant doesn't kind of cover it on top of that. All right, are there any more questions? Let me make sure I got through all the emails. I know something that's come up in the past and with respect to Beautify is that is there a maximum, is there a minimum and a maximum amount that, and you might have covered this, I'm sorry, but the patients can
It's okay.
apply
It's good
for?
reminder. Yeah. It's good to remind. So it's minimum $1,000, and then we say maximum $50,000. So that should cover any plans. And if again, if you need more funds than that, I'm not 100% sure of the price points and all of those details, but sometimes you do need more funds. You can have someone else again apply on your behalf and take on an additional loan if needed.
And is there a processing fee associated with applying for a Beautify loan?
Yes, so there's no upfront fee or no fee to just apply. However, there is an administrative fee that is included in the total cost of borrowing. That's a very good question, Tavia. So the administrative fee is basically divided equally on all of your like terms. So let's say you take a loan on 12 months and your admin fee is $120, that would add $10 per month to your total, to your monthly payment. So say you don't have any interest, then it would be 12 months, so an additional $10 a month. And there's no interest accrued on the admin fee. So Beautify is not, double dipping, if we want to just use that language. We're just only like, it's a flat fee. We divide it on the term length, and that's how it is charged.
Thank you. Another question on the grants. Will the grant cover someone who's already done a funded cycle? Yes. The grant will cover the grant can go towards any private cycle that you want to cover. So you could have done a funded cycle, you could have already done a private cycle as well. There's no restrictions on the number of cycles that you've done before you can receive a grant or before you're approved or chosen for one of the Fertility Friends Foundation grants. One thing that I also wanted to mention, because it's something that I'm very proud of, that we do this with Beautify at TRIO, but we started it in the fall, the 6-month term of 0% financing to see if it would be helpful for patients. And we found overwhelmingly it was. And so we recently opened it up and we're now offering in conjunction with Beautify, or I guess Beautify in conjunction with us, is offering a 12-month 0% financing for patients who are interested and qualify. And I just wanted to bring that up because it's something that we were really proud and thought was really important. It's not that the way the program works is that TRIO kind of takes on that interest cost in the interim. So it's not that you don't pay for 12 months and then get charged, a huge interest fee. It's that
Yeah.
we're taking the risk of the loan on in the interim. And the reason we wanted to start this is because of this Ontario tax credit and the fact that we found out in the fall that there was going to be this tax credit come April. And we thought, oh, it's so frustrating because some people still didn't have the money up front to pay for their treatment, knowing they were going to get a refund in April. And so we went to Beautify and we talked to them about what can we do. And so now is the time that these people can get their tax credit. So it's kind of come full circle. And because it was something that was really well received, we went ahead and opened it up for a year. And this is just really helping people who they don't want to take on more credit in their long-term life, but they've just been given news by a doctor that they weren't really expecting, and IVF is really time sensitive. And so them saving for a year, maybe they could make it possible to pay for everything, but them saving for a year also lowers their chances. And so we're just really happy to, be able to have this partnership with Beautifi to offer this.
Yeah, and it's a really great option. Just to add to this also, like and it is exclusive to, this offer is very specific to TRIO. It's not available in all of our facilities that we partner with. The other thing that is great is just back to what you were saying on the credit being available then in April of the next year, is that again, because Beautify is an open loan, even though you take the 0% interest on 12 months, or maybe you decided to go for a longer term because you were not certain of being able to take on that loan on 12 months. Because it's an open loan, if you're able to save additional funds and just pay it off early or pay it off when you receive the tax credit, then you can do that as well.
Right,
So
great
just
point.
another way to make it more flexible.
There is another question here about the grant, and it is asking if you can have already started a cycle when you apply. I actually don't know the answer to this, so I will get the answer and I'm just making myself a note here. I will include it in the follow-up email that I send out, the parameters, and I'll make sure the link is in there as well, but the parameters around if you can have already started a cycle. So I will get that answer. If anyone else has any questions, we'll wrap up in a few minutes here. We'll just give you a few seconds to enter any final questions you might have for us tonight. Thank you for your engagement. All right, so it doesn't look like we have any more questions. Of course, if you have questions, feel free to email. I believe it's my email that these webinar reminders come from. So feel free to email and I can reach out to the people to answer whatever question you may have and get back to you. Again, I will share the video for anyone who wants to revisit it after we get it live online. And thank you very much for joining us tonight. Thank